Good afternoon. Here we go again on Saturday, July 13th, 2:17 p.m. I had my BTC cap on, but don't worry. I am going to design my ETH cap on my own. To be seen yet. But this is another spontaneous educational video on the topic of liquidity pools, aka LPs. And it has been already 3 years since I previously made a video on this topic, and for the purpose of nostalgia, let's have a quick glimpse on that. Here on my channel, do you remember what it was all about? Of course, on Shiba Swap, I made this video how to dig and, in other words, provide liquidity, and how to woof. So, first things first, if you don't know yet, what is providing liquidity all about? It is all about that when people trade a token or stock or anything on a scale, there must be a pool of those shares or tokens or coins that are then acting as a middle hand in between the persons who trade it. So there is the pool in between where the tokens are taken or taken if they are both, and put back if they are sold. And in other words, that what comes to cryptocurrency, it makes possible to have decentralized, trustless, autonomous pools which are not yielded from their power to anybody specific. In other words, they are safe and fair for everybody, and everybody is able to provide liquidity into the pool by the same rules, and everybody, all others can then trade it by the same rules. And this includes a small reward fee for the liquidity provider. And that was also the case in terms of Shiba Swap, that belongs to the Shiba economy. I made quite a few tutorial videos how it works. Here it is 3 years ago. And woofing meant and means taking out the rewards. But let's go back to more basic vocabulary and let woofing and digging be aside. Although these are still going to be relevant in another way, or in a way or another, in the future of the Shiba economy. I might need another cup of coffee to wake up. But what comes to the trend of the current, you guessed it right. It is where the volume are high and the fees are low. So just for the sake of educational purpose, I used a while yesterday evening to have a glance and look how Solana liquidity pools work and how is the performance and benchmark there. And just a quick note that in the very early days of Shiba and the another value token Leash, I provided liquidity for Leash when liquidity was needed, and it all works the same way in Ethereum. In principle, it works the same way in Ethereum and in Solana, which are completely different networks. But the basic idea is the same about LPs providing liquidity. The major difference how Solana has propelled to the spotlight of the trend right now is of course that the gas fees, the transaction fees upon Solana are multiple times lower compared to Ethereum. So in that sense, here will be once again a very spontaneous go through of what I found in an hour of digging into the, or well, researching into the Solana liquidity pools and how anybody may provide liquidity if they are willing to take a risk. Since in every investing activity, this is not financial advice but for educational purpose only, there is always risk, like there is always risk in life. When you born, there is a risk, and when you invest, there is a risk, and when you don't invest, there is a major risk: inflation. So let's go through this process. What I found out, first things first, we have to take the decision what we want to provide liquidity for. What is the stock or the share or the token or the coin? And the best way to find it out is to go to a screener, and Dex Screener is one of the finest ones of the current, and here you can see only Solana tokens sorted by the volume, from the highest volume to the lowest. And there last night I just took a minute of glimpse upon this, and I spotted MRPist that is currently in the 7th place. And of course, when you are screening these tokens, you want to compare them in the proportions and relativity. For example, we shall not be going into high market cap and low volume tokens. Instead, we are going to go into high volume tokens and low market cap tokens. And here, because the liquidity provider earns fees, reward fees from the volume that is traded, and there is less risk when the market cap is lower but the volume is higher. So in that sense, we can see on the 7th place we have MRPists with relatively high volume during the 24 hours, but relatively low market cap, only 200k compared to the top spot of the current that has highest volume. But MRBeast is actually the only one with less than 500,000 market cap in the top volume ones. So that is perfect, and I spotted it right away when I took a glimpse at this screener last evening. Oh, and by the way, just made a side note about the new token that is holding the assuming new token that is holding the top place. Since I would have my own book of Samuel Sylph, that would be BOSS, boss, in the ticker. But anyways, maybe not, maybe in the future. Anyways, back to our choice of the token MRBeast, and how the liquidity providing works is that you go to the pool that is called Radium in Solana, and it looks like this. You have the address of the token copied here, and then we want to set the price in Sol, because that is how the range of the liquidity pool is set. It is set in price, the token price compared to Solana price, because that is the major pair of liquidity. And here you can see two lines already with the difference of 35%, and that is the set range. Here, when you go to the liquidity pool Radium, you press liquidity, and here you can search the tokens. Here we simply paste the MRBeast token, and here you can see already created pool. So there you see the stats. There is pretty low liquidity, pretty high volume. The fees earned from this volume during the 24 hours these fees are earned by these liquidity providers. And there you see that the interest rate, in other words, the APR or APY, and the reward interest for the liquidity providers are pretty good by the current measures. Take note that these measures are changing on daily basis. The volume can drastically reduce over time, and usually this high volume is upon new tokens, such as this MrBeast has launched yesterday. But anyways, we are going to deposit to the MRBeast pool. We don't have to create a new pool, we just go to deposit to the same pool. That works by the rules of fairly for everybody. And there you can set the range. The dotted white line is where the current price is trading, so it means roughly 700,000 Beast equals 1 Solana, since this price is in Solana. So that is important to notice. And here you can set the range for which range you are going to provide liquidity. This range is important because if the price goes out of this range, then your provided liquidity is inefficient, and it's not anymore working for you. So this is one of the most important factors, and the riskiest factor for the liquidity provider, because you are going to provide both equally from the get-go initially, since you are going to need equal amount of Beast tokens and Solana. And here when you press all of the Beast tokens, for example, or 50%, it automatically it automatically gives the equal amount of Solana that is needed for this amount of Beast tokens. And then after you provide liquidity, as you see, the price moved upwards. So it's good to move also this range upwards. And the wider this range is here, then the more diluted this amount of liquidity is. In other words, it is less efficient. It is inefficient, the wider the range. The narrower the range is, the more efficient it is. Now the trade fees estimated APR is much higher when the range is narrower, but when I widen it, then the trade fees are estimated APR is lower. But when the range is wider, then in terms of probability, the price will stay longer inside that range, and then you will earn the fees longer. And I have already set and deposited liquidity within this range between these two dotted lines. And I deposited the liquidity yesterday, last night, when I hear when this Beast token was making zigzag, this more volatile zigzag. So I took very high risk to provide liquidity for this narrow range when the Beast token was making this zigzag. But I still took the risk here last evening, and I estimated that this zigzag is going to stabilize around this range that I specified here in Solana, Beast/Solana, or Solana/Beast. And now overnight, here you can see the price action doing this zigzag and going, at first it went way higher than my liquidity range. Here my liquidity deposit did not work at all, but in return to the range. So here I earned the fees and then went out of the range, no earnings, back to the range, and here was good earnings, a few hours of earnings, and then it went below the range when I didn't earn anything. So when it goes above the range, then this whole pair moves from one side of the tokens, because this is the initial setup. When it goes out of the range, this amount from the beginning turns into only Solana. So the equilibrium of this providing pool moves from the balanced to only Solana if the price of Beast goes higher. But then when it comes back to the range, it starts to even out, and if it goes lower than my range here, then the amount of deposited liquidity is only Beast. And there are multiple different strategies how you may manage the risk. For example, if it goes out of the range here, you may, and you estimate that it will suddenly shoot up, you may even remove the liquidity, so then you have only the beast tokens. And if you can expect this kind of pump upwards over 100%, then it is wise to take all the liquidity out low here, because then you have only beast tokens, and if it goes higher here, then you can sell all those beast tokens and swap some of them perhaps to Sol, and then again provide liquidity for a different range. But anyways, so far I have been holding this liquidity range here, and what turned out is that it was quite efficient here, because it was doing this zigzag that is ideal, kind of ideal scenario for a liquidity provider, that the price of the token would do this zigzag in within the liquidity range. And so a few more notes about how to manage the liquidity is that if it's a new token with exponential potential, you might want to provide liquidity only a small amount and then hold a good amount of those tokens by yourself, so that if it shoots up to the moon, then you still have, even though your liquidity amount will be completely then in Solana, then you still have in your wallet, you have the beast tokens in your wallet, and you are holding them, and then you have made a good profit despite the liquidity provided amount was turned completely to Solana. So that is pretty straightforward process, and after you have deposited the liquidity, you can press portfolio here, and here you can see the yield. And right now, as you can see here, the price of the beast is out of my liquidity providing range. Now it's coming back up, and here is my position, and you can see that it is currently out of the range. So marking the range to this chart helps you to follow and manage the risk. And here you can also see the yield of the position. So my position was initially only $14 worth, but I added more into the position when it was down low here. So it means I added more here by pressing plus. You can, when it's lower, out of the range from the bottom, then you can only add Mr. Beast tokens to the pair. And if it's higher out of the range, beyond the range, then you can add only Sol to the range. But this is also a DCA strategy if you want to get rid of these beast tokens and automatically swap them into Solana by using this liquidity pool. Then it's worth to just deposit the beast amount here, and then if you expect it coming back to the range, then slowly as it rises here, your just deposited beast tokens will turn into Solana, and so forth. And then you are also earning more fees because you have deposited higher amount of liquidity in the position. You are of course earning the fees proportionally to your liquidity amount that you provide. But I initially had overnight only a total of $14 worth of liquidity, and it earned me like $5 worth of yield. So it's like plus 30% overnight to the initial position. And I would say that's pretty good. There you see the personal interest APR of my pool amount. And here is in comparison another pool beyond that has been in the range all the time, but the volume is so much lower in this pair that the APR is also lower, and thereby the yield has been significantly lower. So this clearly points out how important high volume is for the liquidity provider's efficiency. So this is what I have on top of my Tonku right now. Here, of course, you can remove the liquidity anytime. Right now, all of my liquidity is only in peace tokens because it is out of the lower range. And you can, here timing is everything. Timing and little bit forecasting the future and so forth, if you would like to make most out of this. But here pressing the plus, you can this amount of doesn't make so much sense, but a tip is that when you press this icon here, you can actually see the current price in SOL per piece. So when you press that and then the plus button, then you also see this, your range. Here's how you can see your exact range. And then according to this, you can set these horizontal lines here to the chart. So that is in the quickest and simplest tutorial, the liquidity providing thing. Of course, you are able to create to the same pair of tokens, you are able to create multiple liquidity positions for yourself, and then you can manage them. But that is another layer of complexity to the whole. So remains to be seen where this goes. So far I'm pretty impressed by the yield amount, and here you can, without closing your liquidity position, you can harvest the pending yield here. Now it rose to over $6. You can only harvest these amounts if you don't want to do anything else to your position, but also if you close this position, then by the same transaction it also harvests your rewards. Very initially, when I created that position for myself, I was here and I expected from this initial setup that it's suggested here with 10% difference. I did like this. I rose this higher bar to like above here, and then this was like minus 10% if but something like this, because I expected that the price of the token will go higher soon and so forth, taking into account the range where the initial hype would settle. But that is it for now. It felt good to create a tutorial for a long time no see, and on top of all matters, I'm expecting NFTs to make comeback in a way or another, and Ethereum also is having its gas fees significantly lowered as of late. You can see that currently an average NFT sale costs only $3.5 about, and I would say that a month ago this was like $30. So let's hope that the ETH gas fees are going to stay this low. So I would say some liquid action is going to then take place also on the ETH side. Of course, there is ETH is still on top of volume on average, so no doubt it will stay and is not leaving anywhere. But here you can see some capitulation, price action taking place, a lot of selling, and then a lot of re-entry. The prices already rising from this local bottom here, and we will see where this goes. But hey, I'm just chilling in my liquidity position. I am sure it will rise back up top, if it will. That is the risk a liquidity provider is taking. So do your own calculations, and it's all up to you. No financial advice given here. That is all that. With these thoughts, it's going to be a sizzling hot beach volleyball weather here today, and I wish a happy summer for you all. Upwards we go.